When I come around, got the whole thing wobbin', wobbin'.
We'll move to our top 10 list of pass rushers entering next season. We'll start from 10 to 1. I'll go with my number 10 guy, Yannick Ngakoue. Yannick Ngakoue exploded this season, seeing that he's also been on the top 100, which we'll review in a minute. One of the better pass rusher. He has outperformed his teammate, Dante Fowler, who was highly drafted in his class. Mm-hmm. My number 9 guy, DeMarcus Lawrence, had finally came onto the scene and finally performed to where Cowboys fans have expected him. Then I went with Chandler Jones at 8. Now, granted, that's a bit low for a lot of people, having 17 sacks a season.
Yeah, led the NFL in sacks this year.
Well, every dog has its day. There's probably multiple times in history where a guy has led the league in sacks, and all of a sudden next year has 5. But he's in the Arizona Cardinals. Only really the Cardinals know about him, and ex-Patriots fans. But he's not really, and also his sacks really don't really help to his team's success. They were 8-8, and they play in a tough division. Number 7 is Cameron Jordan, Mr. Consistency for the Saints. Mm-hmm. Ever since he's been drafted, he showed up. He's played multiple positions on the defensive line, 3-4, 4-3. He just knows how to get to the pass rusher no matter what. And rounding up my bottom 5, Ryan Kerrigan, also been consistent, very underrated, probably one of the more underrated pass rushers in the game today. Playing on the Redskins, and the Redskins also been known for about their quarterbacks, by the team logo, whatever the controversy they may be. Dan Snyder overpaying free agents like Albert Hainsworth and guys like that. But Ryan Kerrigan has had multiple double-digit sack season, has been to multiple Pro Bowls, and ever since he's been drafted by them, has been consistent, has been the main threat on that defense, really. What's your 10 through 6?
Okay, my 10 through 6. Coming in at number 10, a lot of you guys may not know him unless you watched that Atlanta Falcons-Cowboys game. This guy exploded onto the scene with 6 sacks in one game. Finished out the year with 9.5 sacks, pretty good number. He actually just got traded over to the New England Patriots. His name's Adrian Claiborne, if you don't know who that is.
He was a first-round draft pick by Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in the day. Yep. And seemed to have finally played up to something,
really,
even though granted the Cowboys spotted him 6 sacks in a game.
Yep, I think this guy under Belichick, I think he can definitely do some things. So I'm looking at him coming into next year, and then at number 10. So number 9, I got the man, the myth, the legend, Julius Peppers. Just had 11 sacks last season. This guy's just all time. First ballot Hall of Famer easily. So I got him number 9. Respect to Julius Peppers. Number 8. A lot of people might think this is too high. I mean, not too high, too low for him. Joey Bosa. He had 12.5 sacks last year, 4 forced fumbles. I got him at number 8 because I just look at some other guys that I think have more potential than him. But he's a great, solid pass rusher.
Very young. I think he's going to, for me, if you're going to listen later where I have him ranked, I think he's going to, explode. I think he's going to, he's a player that I think who can lead multiple years in the league in sacks.
We'll see. Number 7, I have Ryan Kerrigan. Like you said, very consistent player. I've been watching him for a while. Had 13 sacks last year. Leader of that defense. He's just a very good pass rusher. Looking out for him. And number 6 is he had a down year last year, Vic Beasley. But the year before that, he did lead the NFL in sacks. Very good player, Vic Beasley. And I'm looking at him next year. I'm thinking he's going to get back to where he picked up a year ago. And he's going to have a big year this year, I think.
Right. And, with me, Vic Beasley is just the fact of inconsistency issues. The fact that he only exploded for 1 year makes me feel like he was a one-year wonder. And I also expected him to have taken it to another level. Because last year, I believe, was a down year in sacks. Because he led the league, and I believe it was under 15, I believe, for the season, or about that number.
Oh, you talking about the year before?
Yeah.
He had 16, I believe.
Well,
16.
yeah, and 16 sacks still once a good year. But then he significantly dropped off, and you think that adding Dontari Poe to that defense to help him, take double teams would have also helped him come out and really help that defense out with the Falcons.
They also were trying a bunch of new things with Vic Beasley though. They were trying to put him more in coverages and do stuff like that.
I don't understand that because that's something that the Texans tried to do with Javon Clowney. It was really annoying because it's like you drafted a guy for one purpose and one purpose only. To get the quarterback. Why are you wasting his talent dropping him back in coverage? If he can't, just because he's quick and athletic doesn't mean he can man cover or do zone. Granted, it's cute and all that you can be creative, but at the end of the day, you're just wasting a guy who's arguably your best pass rusher, your best pure go after the quarterback guy, and you're wasting him go drop back in coverage.
Yeah, a lot of these defensive coordinators, they're just trying to get a little cute nowadays. They're trying to, let me drop my best pass rusher back because they won't expect that and stuff like that. But then it ends up backfiring once the QB has all day to throw in the pocket.
Yeah, because most of those times, if you look at that defense, if you're dropping him, that means you're only rushing 3. And if you're just rushing 3, it would... that's 5-on-3 as an offensive lineman, and if you don't have any good penetration or you don't go home on your blitzes, you're just giving quarterbacks, especially in that division. You have Drew Brees, you have Cam Newton, and even sometimes Jameis Winston when he wants to show up. In that division, you don't have time to drop back a guy like Vic Beasley, and and waste his potential on going into coverage.
Yep. How about your top 5?
Top 5, Justin Houston, also the same. Ever since he's came into the league, he's had a 20-sack season. He's had multiple double-digit season. It's been a very smooth transition for the Chiefs to go from Tamba Hali then to him. And a very underrated, he was drafted in the 3rd round, mind you, and he's had a tremendous sack season ever since he's came in. Number 4, Everson Griffin for the Vikings. He has been he's been emerging. He's had a renaissance here. He was a 5-star recruit. He was highly noted. The most notable thing about him is the fact that he was the one who got replaced by Clay Matthews at USC. Clay Matthews was the walk-on. Everybody knows this story, and replaces a 5-star guy in Everson Griffin. And both of them has had great seasons, great careers in the NFL. Now, Clay has obviously transitioned to linebacker, doesn't brush the pass rusher as much anymore, but Everson Griffin has now stepped up, undeniably their best defensive lineman on their team. Very good tone setter. It's a very fast defense, too fast and hard-hitting defense they have out there with the Vikings. Number 3, that's where I have Joey Bosa. I think Joey Bosa is going to explode onto the scene next year. I think he's going to be arguably top 5, top 3 in sacks. Granted, without injuries and nothing. And I would hate to be a quarterback in the AFC West. I just listed Justin Houston at 5. Joey Bosa at 3. Then you have Khalil Mack I have at 2. And then number 1, Von Miller.
Of course.
Can you imagine playing against you play these guys twice a year, one of these guys as a quarterback, and you're just going to get smacked every game. Every game is just going to be giving you hell. With Khalil Mack, who's been amazingly versatile. Now, granted, it was a down year, and especially for the Raiders, because I believe they overperformed with a 13-3 year the year before. And then obviously losing Derek Carr in the playoffs, that was a big hurt. And also Khalil Mack, they kind of outperformed themselves. And then the year afterwards, it was a huge drop-off going 6-10, But still, Khalil Mack, you got to respect him. He demands a double team every game, no matter where you line him up. And Von Miller is just, at the end he's a first ballot Hall of Famer already as is. He's been the tone setter of that defense. He has been extremely athletic. He's a guy that you can put in coverage, and they have used him very well because, one, he's able to take it to the house. He's very good in coverage, very sneaky athletic, and he's also has very good moves to his repertoire as a pass rusher. And your top 5 list.
All right. It's a pretty good list. Mine's a little bit different. We got a few of the same people. So at number 5, I got Cameron Jordan. I watched this guy in the playoffs, and he was just like, no one could block this guy. 13 sacks this year. The guy can line up anywhere. You can put him in the middle. You can put him on the outside. You can put him wherever. Cameron Jordan is
that defense. Ever since he was drafted, we have always heard the Saints defense was like complete garbage until this past season. After when they finally added pieces, but he was never the reason why they were bad. He was always been their hope. Their like shining star in that defense because he's always been consistent, as we've said.
Oh yeah, definitely. Cameron Jordan, number 5. Number 4, he was hurt all year. I still believe in him, though. The only player in NFL history to get 2 20-sack seasons, J.J. Watt. I got him coming in at number 4 if he can be healthy and, stay out of the training room and stay off of the bike and stay out of the medical room. He can definitely still play, I feel. So I got J.J. Watt number 4.
My thing about J.J. Watt, because we will touch on him on our top 100 review, is I do believe he's a first ballot Hall of Famer already as is. Because, first of all, the only player to do two 20-sack seasons. That's incredible. And then also that one season where you can arguably he should have won MVP.
Should have.
Because he was the main reason why they were winning games, the Texans, that year.
Mm-hmm.
The problem of why I don't have him on this list is the fact that it's back-to-back seasons of injuries. Now, granted, he is not labeled injury concern. That's not what he is now. The problem is he's his own worst enemy. Because obviously the coaches, what it does with about injuries, obviously there's 3 people that are about it. The coach is going to ask the player. He's going to ask the team doctor. And then it's up to the discretion of the player. It's not the coach's fault that he rushed him. It's because if the coach goes up to him and J.J. Watt says, I'm 100%, I'm ready to good to go. And the doctor goes, well, he's medically cleared to play, but I recommend not to. It's like, who do you want to believe? You got a guy who knows his body more than anybody else in J.J. Watt. And J.J. Watt also has to live up to that. I'm the All-American guy. I'm tough as nails. Nothing can stop me. That mantra, and that is who he is. That's his personality. Mm-hmm. But he did hurt himself. He came in way too soon, and from a severe injury, too, about his back. That could be a career-ending injury. Like, J.J. Watt may never, he was lucky that he came back as quickly and didn't severely injure himself. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he set himself back again. If he would have waited and came in halfway through the season or something like that, he would have done really well for his career health-wise. But he put himself at risk and is a bit selfish of him. But he needs to understand that they do have a replacement into him. I mean, it's hard to replace him, but Jadeveon Clowney took his game to another level this season. He solidified his number 1 pick status, and it's as Texans fans, I bet they are so devastated that they have yet to see them both play on the field together. J.J. Watt had an incredible year when Clowney got drafted. Clowney could only play 2 games, and he was injured the whole season. Then, next season, Clowney comes in, plays, has 8 to 9 sacks his season, that he finally comes back from injury. J.J. Watt's out for the year. Yeah. J.J. Watt comes back the next year, out again after 2 games.
Yeah, that's true.
And who's the rest of your list after J.J.?
Number 3, I got Chandler Jones. Respectively, he led the league in sacks this year, 17. So I'm putting him at number 3. And then number 1 and 2, the same as yours. Von Miller, number 1. Khalil Mack, number 2. Those 2 are just in a class of their own. So you got to respectively put them number 1 and number 2.
Here's a good argument about the pass rusher list. Looking back now, hindsight, Texans at number 1. You think they take Clowney or they take Khalil Mack? Looking at it now. Because Clowney, granted, world-class athlete. First of all, this dude, 6'6", 200 and I believe about 270 when he came into the draft, and he ran a 4.5. That's almost unbelievably God-gifted ability of being that big, that strong, and that fast. But you see Khalil Mack and how versatile he is and how he can work on the defense. How would you think, who would you have picked as the Texans?
Definitely Khalil Mack. I mean, Khalil Mack is definitely proven himself more than Jadeveon Clowney has. Clowney's a good player, but he's no Khalil Mack though. So got to give the edge to him.
Do you think Javion Clowney could touch that level in his career?
I think he could, but so far we haven't seen it yet. We've seen it from Khalil Mack. He's definitely.
And Khalil Mack, the big breakout season is the fact that he did it with not a lot of, in a sense, guys. Like, he didn't, well, neither did, was it Javion Clowney have a J.J. Watt on his team. But at the same time, there was a Whitney Merciless, there was a Chark McKinney, there was Brian Cushing when he wasn't on PEDs.
Yeah.
He had pieces around him where Khalil Mack literally was. I mean, he went to the Pro Bowl as two positions, as a linebacker and as a defensive end. Because, one, he's that athletic that he can almost play Mike. He can play 3-4 outside linebacker. He can play 4-3 outside linebacker. He can play 4-3 defensive end. He's just super versatile. And then, obviously the story about going to Buffalo. And funny enough, I don't know if you heard this about him. You know why he wore the number 46 at Buffalo?
No, I don't.
Because he saw on NCAA that his rating on NCAA was a 46.
Wow.
And he put himself, I'm going to wear the number 46 at Buffalo. And so every